The meeting room on the Varelian capital ship was filled with silence. Dozens of alien leaders sat around a giant silver table. The air was heavy. Eyes flicked nervously. No one dared speak. Finally, the oldest among them, High Chancellor Rovak, pressed a clawed hand to the table and whispered one terrifying sentence. "We cannot win. Humans are gods of war." The room exploded in chaos. "What do you mean?" shouted General Kulf. "They're just a primitive species." "They were," Rovak said grimly. "But we underestimated them. It all started 3 galactic cycles ago that the Varelian Empire was strong. They had conquered over 300 worlds. No species had ever stopped them. So when Earth was discovered, a small blue planet filled with humans, the Empire sent a single destroyer. Ship just 1 to take over. It should have been easy, but when the ship arrived, the humans didn't run. They didn't hide. They fought. At first, the Varelians laughed. The humans used simple weapons, guns, missiles, even old tanks. Compared to plasma blades and energy cannons, it was laughable. Until it wasn't. The humans used strategies never seen before. They tricked the Empire's ships with fake signals. They hid underground, ambushed from trees, and even turned destroyed ships into weapons. Every soldier fought like it was their last day. One human captured by the Empire was asked, "Why do you fight like this?" He smiled and said, "Because you attacked our home. And we never stopped fighting for our home." General Kulf slammed his fist on the table. "So what? They're passionate. That doesn't make them gods." Rovak activated a hologram. A battle played out. Hundreds of alien ships surrounding Earth. Suddenly, they exploded one by something invisible. The entire fleet was wiped out in 3 minutes. "The humans developed something new," Rovak said quietly. "We still don't know what it is. It bends light. It bends space. It makes entire fleets vanish." Silence returned. "Are you saying one planet, one species, can beat us?" asked a young diplomat. Rovak turned to him, eyes dark. "They already are." Far away on Earth, a young human soldier named Captain Eli Vance was cleaning his weapon. His team was preparing for another mission, this time on one of the Varelians' moons. He checked his squad, all dressed in black armor. "We're ready, Captain," said Sergeant Reyes. Eli looked at the stars above. "Let's remind them what humans are made of." Back in the Alien Council, panic was growing. "They use emotion," said one ambassador. "They cry, they rage, they love, and somehow that gives them strength. They're unpredictable," added another. "They don't fear death like we do," Rovak nodded. "And worst of all, they don't stop, ever," one diplomat whispered. "Then what do we do?" Rovak stood slowly. "We run, we hide, or we prepare to meet the gods of war." Captain Eli Vance crouched behind a metal wall, his breathing steady. The air was thin, filled with dust and heat. Around him, his team of 12 elite human soldiers waited for the signal. Above their heads, red alien moons lit the dark sky. Below their boots, the surface of Varelian Moon 7 trembled, and Empire Supply Base was active and busy just a few hundred meters away. "Time to wake them up," Eli whispered. With a single hand motion, the team spread out. No one spoke. Every move was quiet, sharp, and perfectly timed. These were not just soldiers, they were humans, trained through fire and fury. Inside the alien base, alarms were silent. The Varelians had stopped worrying about humans. They thought Earth had sent its best in the first wave. They were wrong. Lieutenant Marin, a 4-armed Varelian officer, walked down the hallway with confidence. He didn't see the tiny object on the floor. It blinked red once, then vanished in a flash of smoke. Boom. The hallway collapsed. Panic exploded inside the base. Emergency lights turned on. Sirens blared. Enemy inside the walls. Someone shouted, but by then, Eli and his squad were already deep inside, moving like shadows. From the control room, Marin watched the screens. One by one, security feeds turned black. "What is this?" he barked. "Show me where they are." "There's nothing," said his assistant. "No life signs, no movement. That's not possible." A moment later, the control room doors opened and Eli stepped in with 4 soldiers behind him. "Looking for us?" Eli said coldly. Marin froze. "Drop your weapons." The alien screamed. Eli didn't blink. "You first." Suddenly, the lights went out. What followed was a blur, screams, flashing lights, smoke grenades, bursts of gunfire. The humans didn't aim to destroy everything. They wanted to send a message. By the time the main reactor exploded and the base collapsed in flames, every Varelian survivor had one thought burned into their memory. The humans are everywhere. And they are unstoppable. Back on Earth, Commander Hala received the report. Mission success. The voice on the screen said, "Minimal human casualties. Enemy base destroyed." Hala nodded. She turned to a young officer. "Send the message. To all colonies, the war isn't over. It's just starting." In the Varelian High Council chamber, Rovak watched the footage in horror. "One human squad," he said, voice shaking. "Just 12 of them, and they destroyed an entire moon base." "We need to strike back now," said General Kolf. "With what?" Rovak asked. "They know our strategies. They know our tech, and they don't fear death." A younger alien, Minister Trella, stepped forward. "Then we don't fight them with ships or guns. We fight them with something else." Everyone turned. Trella smiled coldly. "We send a message. One that hurts. We find a human colony. We burn it to the ground." The chamber went silent again. Trella spoke one final word. Retaliation. Asterisk, the planet New Terra floated peacefully in the cold dark of space. It was one of Earth's first colonies, green hills, fresh air, and thousands of families who had left Earth for a better life. Children played. Farmers worked. Life was simple until the sky cracked open. Without warning, a fleet of Varelian warships dropped from hyperspace. 30 ships fast, armed, and ruthless. There was no message. No warning. They came to destroy. From the sky, fire rained down. Explosions tore through houses and farms. Families ran, screaming. The colony's defense system tried to fight back, but it wasn't enough. The Varelians had come prepared. Inside a small underground shelter, Lana Vance, Eli's younger sister, held her baby close. The wall shook. Dirt fell from the ceiling. She whispered a prayer. "They won't break us. They won't break us." But outside, the Varelians were already spreading across the land, taking prisoners and burning everything else. General Kolf stood on the lead ship, watching through the viewport as New Terra burned. "This is what happens when humans bite too hard," he growled. Beside him, Minister Trella gave a cruel smile. "Let them feel fear for once," Kolf nodded. "This is only the beginning." Back on Earth, the distress signal came through choppy, static-filled, but clear enough. Commander Halle played the message on a giant screen. "To Earth Command. They're here. They're burning New Terra. We need help." Then silence. Halle stood frozen. Around her, officers stared at the screen in horror. She whispered, "They hit civilians. In orbit above Earth, Captain Eli Vance watched from his ship, the Black Arrow. When the message ended, his hands curled into fists. "My sister's down there," he said quietly. Sergeant Reyes placed a hand on his shoulder. "We're going after them, right?" Eli didn't speak for a moment. Then he turned to his crew. We're not waiting for orders. Prep the jump drive. We leave now. On New Terra, a group of survivors hid in the remains of a school. The fire outside glowed. Through the windows, Lana tried to calm the others, then... Silence. No ships, no lasers, just silence. Why did they stop? Someone whispered. A loud, unnatural roar echoed from the hills. From the shadows, tall creatures walked into view. Virelian bio-warriors. 8 feet tall, 4 arms, glowing red eyes. They were here to finish the job. Lana held her child tighter, and above them, unseen in the sky, a human ship blinked out of hyperspace. Black Arrow. Drop zone ready. Eli said. His voice was steady, but his heart was on fire. We going hard. We save who we can. And we remind them, this is still humanity's fight. His soldiers nodded. And with that, the pods launched. Bright streaks of light fell from the sky like shooting stars. The real retaliation had begun. Asterisk. The night sky over New Terra was on fire. But now, something else was falling from above. Escape pods, fast and silent, glowing with blue heat as they cut through the smoke-filled sky. The people hiding in the ruins of the colony stared upward, unsure if this was salvation or another enemy. Then the first pod slammed into the ground near the school ruins. Its doors hissed open, and Captain Eli Vance stepped out, armored head to toe, glowing red visor shining like fire in the dark. We're here, he said. No one else dies today. The squad moved like a single machine. 12 humans. 12 soldiers. But to the eyes of the terrified colonists, they looked like something else. War gods dropped from the heavens. Eli moved straight toward the shelter where his sister, Lana, was hiding. The roof was cracked. Smoke filled the air. He kicked down the remaining door. Lana, she looked up in disbelief. Eli? He ran to her, wrapping her and the baby in his arms. I've got you. You're safe now. But behind him, the battle had just begun. The bio-warriors charged in from the east, tall beasts with claws sharp enough to tear steel. Red lights flickered from their shoulders. Their voices were low, robotic, terrifying. Eradicate all human signatures. Sergeant. Reyes raised his plasma rifle. Contact, multiple bogeys. Hold the line. Eli ordered. The fight was brutal. The bio-warriors were strong, but the humans were smarter, faster, and more determined. Eli rolled under a swipe, fired 2 precise shots, and took down one of the monsters. Reyes took another from behind with a grenade. 2 more fell in quick succession. They didn't stop. They couldn't, because if they did, everyone here would die. Above the battlefield, on the command ship, General Kolf watched the footage in disbelief. Who are these humans? He hissed. Why are they fighting like this? It was supposed to be a massacre. Minister Trella stared at the screen, watching Eli cut down another bio-warrior with brutal precision. That one. He's not just a soldier, she muttered. He's something else, Colt growled. Then kill him. The Virelian commander on the ground received the order and activated a new wave-faster drones, high-altitude snipers. And more bio-beasts. Eli saw the incoming lights on his visor. They're calling in air support. They want to wipe us all out. Reyes shouted, We're running out of ammo. Eli looked to Lana and the other survivors. They had no more time. Then we take them with us, he said. All of them. But just as the team prepared for the worst, a new signal blinked on Eli's HUD. Incoming. Earth Fleet Support. Ada. 2 minutes. Eli grinned. Looks like we're not alone anymore. In the sky, dozens of human ships dropped from hyperspace. Black Arrow was no longer the only one. Down below, survivors cheered. Soldiers regrouped. And the aliens began to fall back, because in that moment, It became clear the humans weren't just fighting, they were taking their world back. Asterisk, the stars lit up like fireworks, one by one. Earth's warships emerged from hyperspace sleek, black, and silent. Hundreds of them. Battleships, destroyers, stealth cruisers, and gunships forming a wall above New Terra. The ground shook as the enemy looked up in terror. And then, the voice came through all open channels, loud and unshaken. This is Earth. Command, you attacked our people. Now, you face our response. Seconds later, the human fleet opened fire. Down on the ground, Captain Eli Vance watched the skies turn gold. The Varelian gunships overhead were torn apart by precision strikes. Every human ship moved with purpose, like they'd rehearsed this moment 1,000 times. Look at that, Sergeant Reyes breathed. That's not a rescue, that's vengeance. Eli smiled faintly. That's what happens when you burn one of our homes. The alien troops on New Terra panicked. The Varelians had never seen Earth's full military. Until now, humans had only sent small strike teams, stealth missions, and single ships. But now, this was war. General Kolth watched from his flagship as more of his fleet was destroyed. Dozens of screens flashed warnings, shields failing. Engines down, multiple ships lost. Pull us out, Kolth roared. Retreat now, but it was already too late. Earth's ships surrounded them. Varelian destroyers exploded in bright, fiery clouds. Screams echoed through the communication lines. Minister. Trella gripped the side of the command table. They've been holding back, she whispered. This isn't all they have. Kolth's face turned pale. Then the stories were true. Ele and his squad fought through the last wave of bio-warriors on the ground. The humans had regained control of the colony's central square. Drones dropped medical supplies. Survivors were lifted away by rescue crafts. Captain! Lana shouted, running to him with the baby. They're evacuating civilians to the Artemis. Eli nodded. Go, I'll finish things here. Lana grabbed his arm. Please don't die, Eli. He gave her a small smile. I can't. I'm not done yet. In orbit, Earth's command ship, the ISS Titan, locked onto the last enemy cruiser. A commander on the bridge gave the order. Fire the Zeus cannon. A beam of pure light tore through space, striking Kolth's flagship with unstoppable force. The massive ship split in two before vanishing into a ball of fire. The command room inside the Titan went quiet. Commander Halle watched the screen with cold eyes. That was for New Terra. On the surface, the explosions faded. The sky, once filled with enemy ships, was now calm. The fires died out. The survivors stepped out from hiding, watching the sunrise return. Captain Eli removed his helmet and took a deep breath. He looked at the broken battlefield. And the people now free because of what humanity had done. Reyes walked up beside him. Think they got the message? Eli didn't answer right away. Then he said, they got something better. A warning. Far away, in the Varelian core systems, the High Council received the full battle report. Losses, catastrophic. Ships, destroyed. Soldiers, crushed. And at the bottom of the report was one sentence from a Varelian officer. Humans fight with more than weapons. They fight with fire in their hearts. The alien leaders sat in silence, horror etched across their faces. Then, we are not fighting a species, one said quietly. We are fighting a force. Asterisk. In the deepest chamber of the Varelian High Council, silence filled the room like thick smoke. The counselors stared at the glowing report on the wall. Hundreds of ships gone. Moon bases destroyed. Elite units wiped out, and the humans still fighting. Still winning. We must end this war, whispered one. No, said Minister Trella coldly. We must end them. She tapped a button on the table. A hologram flickered to life, showing a dark facility hidden inside a dying star. The room went still. Project Vortex, she said. Even General Kolf, battle-scarred and hardened, looked uneasy. That's Forbidden's technology. It's our only chance, Trellis snapped. We will break them. Not with ships, but with fear. Back on Earth's flagship ISS Titan, Captain Eli Vance stood before a tactical map. Reports were pouring in. Alien activity had vanished. No ships, no movement. Just silence. Commander Hale frowned. They're planning something. Eli nodded. They're not retreating, they're hiding. And when they strike, Hale said, they'll aim to break more than our bodies. They'll aim to break our spirit. She paused, then looked him in the eye. That's why I'm sending you. You're not just a soldier, Eli. You're something more. Far across the galaxy, in the heart of the Vortex facility, Verelion, scientists activated an ancient weapon, a mind-breaker pulse. It didn't kill. It didn't destroy. It made humans doubt. It twisted memories. It whispered hopelessness into the minds of the strongest soldiers, and they planned to release it over every human colony. Eli and his team were already en route in the Black Arrow, tracking the energy signal. What exactly are we walking into? Riaz asked. Eli studied the strange pulse reading. Something we've never faced before. When they arrived near the dying star, the scene looked quiet, peaceful. But as the ship drew closer, something hit them. Reyes grabbed his head. What is that? Private Lang fell to the floor, screaming. They're in my head. I see my brother, he's dying. I can't breathe. Even Eli felt it. A cold whisper crawled into his mind, showing him images of failure, of Earth burning, of his sister crying out for help too late to save. His hands trembled. But then, he heard another voice, his own voice. We never stop fighting for our home. Eli clenched his jaw. He reached for his team. Everyone listen to me, he shouted. It's not real. Fight it. You're stronger than this. He grabbed Riaz's shoulder. You hear me, soldier? This is not who we are. Reyes blinked hard. His breathing slowed. The shaking stopped. Then one by one, the team came back. The Black Arrow blasted its way into the Vortex facility. The halls inside were full of shadows, glowing green tubes, and machines humming with dark energy. Eli planted explosives on the main core. Trella's face appeared on a giant screen. You can destroy this station, she hissed, but the fear will live in every one of you forever. Eli stared at her calmly. No, it dies with you. He pressed the button. The core exploded in a white wave of energy. The pulse device shattered. And just like that, the fear was gone, back on Earth. In the command chamber, the reports came in. The pulse is gone. Soldiers recovering. We're still standing. Commander Hale smiled for the first time in weeks. They tried to break our minds, she said. But they forgot our minds aren't our greatest weapon. She looked at the screen showing Eli's squad returning. Our will is. The Vortex facility was gone. Its dark pulse weapon shattered. The whispers silenced. Across the stars, humans began to feel clear again. Soldiers who had been shaking in fear now stood strong. Civilians who had hidden in bunkers stepped out and looked up at peaceful skies. But far away, in the Verelion capital, panic spread like wildfire. Inside the High Council chamber, the alien leaders were shouting over each other. The weapon failed. How did they resist it? They shouldn't have survived. General Kolf stood still, his face pale. We've thrown everything at them, and they keep rising. Minister Trella's voice cracked for the first time. Then we have no choice. Everyone went quiet. She looked up slowly and whispered, We must ask for peace. The silence that followed was heavier than any warship. One of the elders hissed, "You want us to kneel to them? To the humans?" Trella didn't blink. "Yes, or we'll lose everything." On Earth's flagship ISS Titan, Commander Hale watched as a communication signal appeared from the Varelian Empire. She opened the line. "Minister." Trella's face flickered into view. Her voice was steady, but her eyes showed defeat. "This is the Varelian Council. We request an emergency ceasefire. We wish to discuss peace." Hale said nothing at first. Then she replied, "Now you're ready to talk." Trella's voice lowered. "We didn't understand what humans were." Captain Eli Vance stood on the bridge of the Black Arrow, arms crossed, watching the same message on a nearby screen. His team stood behind him, wounded, tired, but unbroken. Reyes leaned closer. "Peace talks, huh?" "Maybe," Eli said. "But we don't forget." He stared out the viewport. "They attacked our worlds, burned our homes, tried to break our minds." Reyes nodded. "But we're still here." The humans agreed to a meeting. It was held on a neutral space station near the galaxy's edge. Armed ships floated in orbit. But inside the chamber, there were no guns, only voices. Commander Hale walked in, flanked by Eli and his team. The Varelians were already there, heads lowered, weapons surrendered. Trella stepped forward and bowed. "We were wrong about you." Hale's voice was calm but cold. "You saw humans as weak, primitive." Kolf added quietly, "We thought you were just another species, but you're something else." Eli stepped forward, eyes locked on the Varelians. "You made one mistake. You thought war was only about power." Trella looked up. "What is it really about then?" Eli's voice was low and firm. "Purpose." The peace talks lasted hours. Demands were made. Agreements were signed. War prisoners were returned. Territories withdrawn. And slowly, the galaxy exhaled. The war was not over yet, but for the first time, the Varelians had backed down, not because they were destroyed, but because they understood humans were not just fighters. They were survivors, builders, protectors. And when pushed, they became gods of war. Peace had a strange silence. No alarms, no gunfire, no screaming across coms. For the first time in years, the galaxy stood still. On Earth, people rebuilt homes. On New Terra, children played under repaired rooftops. Across human colonies, soldiers returned to their families, many for the first time in a long time. Peace came with scars. In a hospital near the rebuilt capital, Sergeant Reyes sat in silence, staring at his reflection. One arm gone, replaced by a cybernetic limb. "Still healing. You're lucky to be alive," the medic told him. Reyes smiled. Weakly, "We all are." But deep inside, every soldier knew. This wasn't the end. On the Varelian side, change came slowly. The High Council split. Some wanted true peace, but others saw the truce as humiliation. General Kolf, though silent during the talks, now met secretly with a group of war-fueled factions. "We may have lost battles," he told them, "but the war inside our blood is not over." A hidden weapon, sealed deep inside the Varelian archives, was being reactivated. Something old, not of their own making. Trella, now acting as the peace envoy, discovered traces of this secret program. She sent a private warning to Earth. "Kolf is hiding something, I fear. Even I don't know how dangerous it is." On the Black Arrow, Captain Eli Vance sat in the command chair, reading the message. He had seen too many false truces in his career. Something about this one didn't feel right. He called Commander Hale. "We need eyes inside this space again." Hale nodded. "I was thinking the same." She paused. "But Eli, if we're wrong, this could start another war." Eli's voice was calm. "Then let's be right." Eli's team went silent again, slipping into Virelian territory under stealth protocols. What they found shook them. Not warships, not soldiers, but a gate, massive, buried in an asteroid field, ancient, not built by Virelians or humans, and behind that gate, sensors picked up energy like nothing ever recorded before. Is this what Kolf is planning to use? Reyes asked, eyes wide. Eli stared at the strange writings carved into the stone structure. No, he's not planning to use it. He looked up grimly. He's planning to wake it up. Back on Earth, panic rose. The council reviewed the findings. Halle stood before them, her voice serious. If they activate that gate, we're not facing the Virelian Empire anymore. What are we facing then? One leader asked. She replied coldly. Something older, something even they fear. As peace trembled under the weight of a hidden threat, both sides had a decision to make. Humanity, once again, stood at the edge of something terrifying. But this time, they weren't just fighting for survival. They were fighting to stop a new war. Before it could begin, the ancient gate HUMMED. It pulsed with energy older than stars, its rings spinning slowly, awakening something buried in time. On the edges of the asteroid field, human stealth ships and Virelian scouts floated, watching, unsure whether to move closer or run. But Captain Eli Vance wasn't watching anymore. He was already on the surface leading the mission to shut it down. Status? Eli asked, voice sharp in his helmet. Reyes, still bandaged, checked the scanner. Power levels rising. We've got less than 10 minutes. A low growl echoed from the gate. They weren't alone. Inside the Virelian command ship, Minister Trella faced her own council, divided and afraid. You're making a mistake, one shouted. This is our chance to become gods. Trella slammed her fist on the table. You still don't understand. We already faced gods and they were human. She opened the channel to Earth's fleet. This is Trella. We're sending backup to the gate. Kolf has activated something even we can't control. Commander Halle responded instantly. We'll meet you there. This time, we end it together. In front of the gate, the ancient runes glowed red. A crack opened in space, like the mouth of a beast yawning awake. Creatures stepped through, not machines, not aliens, but something in between. Tall, black, metallic beings with no eyes and no words. They didn't come to talk. They came to erase everything. Contact, Reyes yelled. They're moving fast. Eli raised his weapon. We hold the line. We don't let them through. And for the first time in galactic history, humans and Virelians fought side by side. On the ridge above, Virelian snipers fired energy blasts that lit up the battlefield. Human marines laid traps, mines, and shields across the field. Every second counted. One of the metal creatures reached the command console. No! Eli ran, fired a shot into its chest, and dove into the controls. Reyes covered him. Can you shut it down? Eli worked fast. His fingers flew across the alien interface, guessing. Trusting instinct, the gate began to pulse faster. I can't shut it, he growled. But maybe. He looked at the explosive strapped to his belt. Trella's dropship landed behind them, bringing more troops. She ran to Eli. You're going to blow the gate? She asked, breathless. Eli nodded. It's the only way. But I need time. Trella looked him in the eyes, then turned to her soldiers. Buy him that time. The field became chaos. Metal monsters clashed with aliens and humans, energy blasts lighting up the sky. Reyes took a hit to the shoulder but kept firing. Eli planted the last charge and set the timer. Now let's go. He shouted. They all ran. The countdown ticked down 10, 9, 8. The explosion was massive. A blue-white blast shot into the sky, swallowing the gate and everything around it. The shockwave knocked out nearby ships. But it was done. The gate was gone. Later, in a quiet hall aboard the ISS Titan, Eli stood before a gathering of both species. Trella stood beside him. She raised a hand. We once feared the humans, called them monsters, gods of war. But now, we call them something else. She turned to Eli. Allies. Applause filled the chamber. And in that moment, the galaxy changed, not because of fear, but because two enemies had stood at the edge of destruction and chose to fight together.